I hadn't really grown up out of that so much. I was really talented.
Okay, well, do warning, the meeting is now being recorded. So be careful what you say, because it'll be held for posterity at this point. I'm gonna start 2 minutes early, so, my name's Terry Moy. George says the Futures Club is being handed over to me. As George said, I guess I am the future, I suppose. So, I wanted to introduce myself. So my husband and I moved here about a year ago, and came from San Carlos down in the area, the Peninsula area. It's been a lot of fun so far. Got lots of nice people, great people here.
Yes.
Really fabulous people, you know.
Yes.
I'm always impressed by everybody I've met so far, so. So right now we're in the middle of a kitchen remodel, so that's why we haven't had a futures meeting until this time. We're at the point to at least get it going. We hope that the Futures Club continues on, possibly hopefully on a every other month type of planning type schedule, depending on speakers and things like that. And right now we have it scheduled in direct conflict with board meeting, HOA board meeting. So thank you for coming to this. Another thing also, and everybody that's online, thank you for coming. Please put your microphones on mute so that we don't go into any echo issues as we go along. What we're planning to do today is Rich Osborne, who's president of the Hearers Club, is going to talk about the latest developments in over-the-counter hearing aids. On top of that, what we'd like to do is have him go through his presentation and kind of hold your questions until the end. There'll be lots of time for questions and answers, so don't worry about it. And somebody's raising their hand already.
Will you be sending a summary out of all the information that's being presented?
Are we sending out we can send out your presentation?
You send out the recording.
Yeah.
In terms of I don't really have a summary of it.
Yeah.
Or just your presentation.
Sorry.
Or just your presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry,
Yes, sir.
we'll post it on the website.
Okay. Let's do
There's a
that.
link for the Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
What club would you say he's president of?
Hearing Education Advocacy Research and Support, HEARS.
Okay. All right. Any other questions before Rich gets started? Nothing online, I think. Nope, don't see anybody online, so great, we've got 10 people online and number here, so.
I want to stand up, but
Well,
I'm
Rich,
curious,
stand up.
am I gonna fall outside of the camera range if I do that?
Yes. We'll stand over here. Stand in front if you want. Do you want me to?
I'll have to,
I can click through the.
I can probably, let's see if we can figure out, we can figure it out.
All right.
I'll stand in front of the camera. Am I on camera now?
It should go to you.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll go
You got
ahead.
the camera right there?
The camera's in the middle of the room.
Oh,
See that little,
uh-huh.
thing in the middle?
Well, you can sit down on the floor with your knees crossed. You'll never get up, but good luck.
Why don't you just stand in front of the
Okay,
table and the camera should follow you. They'll see your waistline.
expanding waistline. I tried on, we went to a funeral service yesterday, and I had to put a suit on. And I put that suit on, and I told my wife.
I'm recording it, and it is being recorded. I can't understand them, but so I turned on chat so I can read it.
Oh, that's not good.
Hey, can everybody put those online, can you please put your microphone on mute? Or at least be aware that everybody can hear what you're saying.
I forgot.
Thank you.
Okay, so understand you're a futures club. I'm a now person. Okay, so what I'm talking about is not in the future. I'm gonna talk to you about what happens right now today. Let me just hit the slide there. There we go.
There we go.
Let me just introduce myself. I,
have a picture going back to them,
okay,
like this right up here.
I had hearing loss that was confirmed at age 16. That's in high school. Actually, it started when I was in
Yeah,
grammar school.
going back to them.
High school, they do tests and stuff like that. So I've had it basically all my life.
It's their camera. That's where they put it on.
They can't hear.
They have to mute themselves. Terry,
No,
you
I
can
actually,
mute them.
I can't read them.
She doesn't have
I
control.
don't
Are
have
they
a
saying they
control
can't
board.
see him?
I can't understand them.
So, Rich, you may have to talk louder.
Okay, do you want me to talk into this?
Yeah, talk
That
to my
might
mic, let's start there.
Let's, let me ask if you can hear me better now.
Can you see?
Wow.
Okay, here's a microphone tip. You wanna, if you're a speaker, you put it right next to your chin or put it on your chin. It tends to work that way.
Come to Sunday Symposium and tell them that, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Come to Sunday Symposium and tell them that, please.
Oh. You mean the people who talk like this?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not a hearing loss professional. I'm not an audiologist. I'm just a guy, okay, who happens to know a lot about hearing loss because I have hearing loss. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about now something that's in the future, that's not in the future, is over-the-counter hearing aids.
You should ask me.
But first, I'd like to just give you a little bad statistic. The Mayo Clinic says about 50% of the people over age 75 have hearing loss. Since the average age here at Oakmont is close to 75, that means 50% of the people at Oakmont have hearing loss. More of you are joining me. The problem is that aging reduces the signals that get transmitted to your brain. And unfortunately, and I'll explain more on this in the next slide, unfortunately, you hear with your brain, you don't hear with your ears. And so since the aging reduces the signal can get to the brain, you hear less. Now, Mayo Clinic also said people wait about 7 or even more years before they do anything about it. I have a perfect example. I waited till I was 40 before I did anything about it. I'm a bad example. And my text is overlaying my last thing, but it says that little green thing that you can't see says you don't get 20/20 hearing. You can get 20/20 vision, but when you get hearing aids, you don't get your hearing back. You can improve it, but you don't get it back. It's gone. So let's talk about the symptoms of hearing loss. First of all, you tell your spouse that he's losing or she's losing their hearing. You have trouble understanding your grandchildren. You often have to ask people to repeat what they're saying. How about turning up the television or in the car? What about social settings or going down here to the Oak on Monday night? You avoid that because it's so loud. You're bothered by background noise. If all of you start talking all at once, I can't hear a thing. And finally, it's very difficult to differentiate words. If I say soft and chew, did you tell the difference between shoe and chew? Very hard to tell the difference, things like that. So those are symptoms of hearing loss. Oh, thank you. Let me just talk to you very briefly about how the human ear works. We all know about this part. We all know about the external ear canal. What happens is sound is the vibration that comes in through that canal. It comes up and hits these bones. There's about 3 bones inside your head that hits, and those bones vibrate. And then they send signals down the nerve canals to the brain. And the brain has to then figure out what the heck those signals are. Because all it knows is that the bones are waving this way, or they're waving this way, or so on. And then finally the sound transmits on side to something called the cochlea. The cochlea is just a little pea-sized thing, a little tiny thing, looks like a snail that's inside your skull. And inside of the cochlea, it just goes round and round, round, round. It has little hairs inside of those round canals. And these hairs are the ones that pick up their sound as it sounds coming by. They vibrate, they send a signal to the nerves, and it goes down to the brain. Then the brain has to figure out what in the heck that is, what caused that. So as I said before, you hear with your brain. It's nothing more than people in your hearing here is nothing more than just vibrations and so on like that. So that's the way the hearing works. And then, as I mentioned to you before, aging reduces the amount of signal that can get transmitted to the brain. Thank you, Terry. So what are impediments that get into the way of fixing our hearing loss? First of all, is expense. Hearing aids are very expensive. And often, although we're probably okay now, we're in Medicare, or Kaiser, something like that, we're probably in better shape than I was when I was 40. But hearing aids are very expensive. You're looking at $10,000 right there. That's not unusual. You're looking at $250,000 right there. That is kind of unusual. But they're very expensive. There's the problem with appearance. People don't want hearing aids because we associate that with what? Age. And we don't want anybody to know that we're older, you know? We're vain people. We don't want them to know that we're older. So we don't want to have to wear hearing aids. People will look at us and say, oh, look at that old man. And then that falls right into the next thing, is that river that goes up through Egypt, the Nile. I don't have a problem with hearing. It's just my spouse yells at me, but that's okay, I don't care. Yeah. So there is a big problem with finding and seeing a ear, nose, and throat doctor. You have to go to your primary care and get a referral and then go see them and all this time. Of course, we're retired. That's all we do now is go to doctors. But and then the other problem is once the ear, nose, and throat doctor says, well, I want you to go to an audiologist, then it's trouble. How do you find an audiologist? There's many of them all around here, Miracle Air and all these kinds of companies. Who do I go to? It's very, very confusing. Thank you. So the FDA came to our rescue. In August 2022, they made a ruling that now it's possible for you to get hearing aids over the counter. OTC means I can go down to Best Buy and buy hearing aids. I don't have to go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I don't have to get a prescription from a hearing person. I can go to Amazon and buy hearing aids. And the FTC did this for a couple of reasons, but they were hoping that they would reduce the expense of hearing aids. With OTC hearing aids, you might see them advertised for $100. They might go up to about $1,000, but that's still a lot less than 6,000. So, if that was, FTC came to our rescue. Now, it's not a prescription hearing aid. It's just something that you went down and buy like you would buy a loaf of bread. But just like when you buy a loaf of bread, it's buyer beware, can't be out home to her. You know, you gotta be careful what you buy. Okay. So, are you a candidate for an over-the-counter hearing aid? Well, first of all, the FDA says you have to be an adult and you have to be 18 years of age. I think we got that covered. And you have to be perceived with mild to moderate hearing loss. Well, okay, that's what I got, I got mild hearing loss. But who really decides on your candidacy? Probably your spouse is the one that's bugging you the most, but I think that's a poor source. But that's probably what we're finding. Then, if you go down to Best Buy, you can take an assessment right there and get an assessment of your hearing loss. Now, it was interesting, my audiologist went down to, I think she said Verizon or somewhere. She did the assessment and it said, oh, you have hearing loss and you need to get our hearing aid. Well, she knew she did not have hearing loss, but it was just interesting. You can get an assessment like that. Finally, and I think this is the best way, is to go to an audiologist and get an audiogram and then let that tell you whether you have hearing loss and whether you need hearing aids or whether you have profound hearing loss. Okay, who's not a candidate? Well, if you have difficulty hearing in a quiet room, if you don't hear music very well, one of the terrible things about these is that they destroy music, and I happen to be a season ticket symphony holder, and I have to take this thing off because it just destroys the music. And finally, your audiogram, if you went to the audiogram, and we'll talk a little bit about, I'll show you an audiogram that says you need hearing aids. Okay, you're not a candidate. Then lastly, if you have vertigo, you know what I mean by vertigo, dizziness caused by moving your head, and so on, you're not a candidate for hearing aids. There's something else going on inside there that needs to be looked at. So this presentation, if you're in this category, this presentation doesn't apply. How does this work? Well, it's a medical device. It's worn behind the ear and it's stuck inside the canal. That little loop is inside the canal. All it is a loudspeaker. There's a lot of technology in there. I could talk to you for a long time about that technology, but all it really is a loudspeaker. Someone speaks, it picks up and recognizes that, and it amplifies that sound and causes those bones to move a little faster and cause those hairs inside the cochlea to shake a little bit harder. That's all it really is. Now, many hearing aids, well, over-the-counter hearing aids especially, will allow you to use this to control your hearing aids. And so right here, I can sit here on this dial and I can change it up or down, put it to left, right, so on and so. Many of the over-the-counter hearing aids are the same way. So where do you find over-the-counter hearing aids? Well, practically almost anywhere, and I'll show you some Googles and stuff like that for hearing aids. But you can just buy them just about anywhere, but like I said before, you have to be careful. Okay, because now the burden is on you. It's not up to Kenwood to give you a good set of hearing aids that fit for you just right. It's up to you. And it has to say on the counter, on the package, OTC hearing aid. It has to say that right on there. The prices that I mentioned before can be down as low as $100. Probably you might want to expect to have to spend $500, probably in that neighborhood. As I mentioned before, some will allow you to take a test to see whether you where your hearing loss is. I can tell you where it is right now by looking at you. Your hearing loss is in the high frequencies. You have trouble with the soft sounds. You have trouble with your grandkids who speak quickly. But that's what you need to take self-assessment. Teenagers love to have these things in their ears, these white things that stick out. They don't mind, in fact, they think it's cool. They don't mind having things in their ears, but those are personal sound amplification devices. Those are not hearing aids. All they are is for them to hear music. Those are not OTC hearing aids. Okay. This is a Google. I just did a Google on it to capture the screen and put it up here. If you type in just OTC hearing aids into Google, you'll get something like this. So, best OTC hearing aids of 2024. You can click on this link and then it'll take you down and then it'll show you page after page of different hearing aids. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about the different brands that I know a little bit about, but you can do this as well. In fact, you will do this if you're looking for, and you go down to Walmart and you see it, and if you got Jabra, and you think, what, is that a good one? Did Rich say anything about Jabra? You don't know. It's just like anything. You have to do your research, and it's not easy. So Lexi will come up. So you'll see these guys, Audios, another one, so on like that. Let's go to the next one here. Okay. On the top left, Bose. Everybody has Bose speakers, and you thought, boy, they can be great when they come out with an OTC hearing aid, but unfortunately, they looked at it and left the market. They sold their technology over to Lexi. So they're not there. Lexi Lumen took the Bose technology. Audio, the Atom 2, you'll see them a lot. The Jabra, boy, do I get ads from Jabra. Because I've, just clicked a couple of links. Now they have identified me, and Jabra hits me all the time.
What's GN stand
GN, owned by GN, who makes, well, this is, if you're, you go down to Costco, GN, I don't know exactly what that acronym is, but I know they make the Resound, and Costco sold Resound hearing aids. But GN, I don't know, it could be George Nancy, I don't know.
Probably is.
Sonoma is a hearing aid company. In fact, that's where my hearing aids are, Sonoma. They make it. Here go, you'll see them a lot, the Link 7. I'm not recommending any of these, by the way. As I told you, I'm just a person with severe hearing loss. But these are the kinds of people that you're going to see, and you're going to want to decide what Vivitone, Sony, Clarity, Earcentric. So these are the major guys in the market. Now, I know the Germans ads pop up on your phone. This wonderful device that goes inside your ear, nobody can see it. I don't know anything about them. No.
We are old.
Okay, go ahead. I mentioned an audiogram. Here is an audiogram. So it starts off on the left-hand side. It's comparing how loud decibels, how loud it is, and comparing that to the frequency, how high up it is. You're spilling there.
Oh, thank you.
So it compares the two, and it's at the top is the normal hearing, that white little bar up there. I remember the first time I saw an audio, because this was mine a few years ago. I've gotten a lot worse than this, but this was mine a few years ago. And the first time I saw someone who was only in that little white area, I thought there must be a mistake, because I'd never seen one like that before. But anyway, you have normal hearing. You can hear in the higher frequencies, grandchildren, women talk in very high frequencies.
Violins, if you go to the symphony, are very high frequencies. And the decibels are very low. So it gets down to mild hearing loss. And this is where the FDA is aiming these hearing aids for, is people who have mild hearing loss. Now, you might think you have mild hearing loss, but until you get this, you don't know. You think you're just fine, but you need to get an audiogram to find out if you're mild to moderate. You can fall down to that. Then, of course, you can get worse, and then it's time to go see the doctor. And you get severe hearing loss, or in my case, profound hearing loss. Okay, so like I don't hear at all in the right ear, it's completely gone. So all these little, the circles are your left ear, my circles just not on there. So, okay, let's take a look. What do we got here? Okay, so I'm just about through with talking about over-the-counter hearing aids, but I want to ask you to protect your ears. I want to ask you, especially you men who were back in your shooting days, you came by these, and or so on. I want you, when you take up that lawnmower, you whatever, I want you to wear this. Protect your ears. You think it looks silly? Yeah, it looks silly. But I want you to do that. If you don't want to protect your ears with something like this, I want you to go down to CVS and buy some little earplugs. Won't cost you, but just a little bit, and you go down and I got mine free, but that's but you protect your ears, please. And don't subject your children to your boombox in the car. You know, they're strapped in there, they're strapped in the car, and they have to hear that sound. Please don't do that. But I also would like to ask you to get your go down to Kaiser or go down to Providence, get your hearing tested. It's free, doesn't cost anything. It might cost, it might have costed you when you were 50, but you're not 50 anymore, so it's free. Get your hearing tested.
What about Costco? They do it free.
They do it free, right?
The same, it's a good test.
I'm sorry?
Is it a good test?
It's a good test. Problem with Costco, I can't say anything about different companies, but I will say this anyway. The problem with Costco is it depends on the hearing aid provider. Okay, so all you have to do is pass a test. And once you pass the test, you can work for Costco and be a hearing aid provider. You look at the diploma and see what level they've actually are. They might administer the test, and it might be just some kid that graduated from high school, took the test and passed it and got a job. So you want it, you know, it's everything, you know, you have to be careful. Okay.
Rich, can I say something?
No.
Okay, so, I've had 3 sets of Costco hearing aids. I've had,
They can't hear you.
oh. I can do this one on. I can do this one on. So in my experience, I've had at least 3 sets of Costco hearing aids. They did all my hearing tests. I've had about 3 audiologist technicians do the tests, plus do the hearing aid recommendations, et cetera, and things like that. So just recently I went to the Santa Rosa one, which is a very good one. He did adjustments on my hearing aids. He listened to what he came up with, you know, great adjustments, et cetera, et cetera. The first one I had, he was also excellent. He spent 25 years in an audiologist private practice organization, so he was very good. The second one after that wasn't that good. So you do have to check, right? But I would say the one up here, the Santa Rosa one, is actually pretty good. And they really do actually care about whether you're doing well or not. It says, come back anytime if there's a problem. So, but it varies between Costco's. So that's just my experience.
I think that puts that confirms in italics what I said. It's up to you now. It's not up to Kenwood. It's up to you to decide whether you're getting the right kind of person and the right kind of test. Yeah.
Wherever you go, be Kenwood, Costco, Rite Aid, whatever. Can you say, I don't want that audiologist, I don't want that person, could I have somebody else?
Absolutely.
And they'll give it to you.
It's up to you.
Or
It's
you can
your,
walk
it's your
down.
ears.
Yeah, or you can walk out the door.
Well, you walk out the door but if you can say, I want somebody else. Now, in Costco's case, they'll just say, go to the other store, you know. Now, I didn't say this, but don't go to Miracle here.
You won't get a miracle,
I didn't hear you.
I think we're ready for questions. Yeah, we are ready for questions. Fire away. All I've done is kind of talk to you about in general terms about these hearing aids. They're called over-the-counter hearing aids. Yes, sir.
Obviously, you've been talking about over the counter, but you had your druthers of needing a hearing aid today. Would you buy one over the counter or would you buy one of prescribed hearing aids?
Okay. I gave you a slide that says, are you a candidate? I'm not a candidate. I have profound hearing loss. I can't.
You couldn't hear it with anything.
That all these things do is amplify sound. So if you have moderate, mild to moderate hearing loss, then it's gonna help you. And you probably want to do it. But just a minute. And so you probably want to do it, but I'm just not a candidate. Yeah.
Are these Costco ones not OTC because there's a test that they did? And secondly, what kind of headphones are those? Just any old kind or?
Let me answer the second question first. These are for my shooting days. When I, go to the range, and you have to protect because you're shooting a gun. But you can buy these things,
What are they called on Amazon?
Well, these are just called hearing buffs.
Hearing Plus.
These are just called,
Earplugs.
Jeff, what are those called? I can't read it.
Says
I have a Mac.
EAR, classic soft earplugs,
Earplugs.
songs, or tapones.
Okay. You can get them just at the drug. You can probably get them at Safeway. They don't cost very much. Okay. So I'm sorry, did I answer the question now?
The question was, if you get a test at Costco or Kaiser, and you buy their earplugs, your hearing aids, those are not OTC.
It has to say OTC on the box that they come in. If they don't, or if you had to get a prescription, they're not OTC.
They're not, Costco, they're not OTC.
So Kaiser.
No, Costco sells both.
Are they selling both?
Yeah, sells both. So you can go to Costco and get a prescription hearing aid. In fact, that's where I used to get my Resound hearing aids, is Costco years ago. Yeah.
So Kaiser said they recommend I get hearing aids for mild loss. And they said on Friday, I'm gonna have a test and walk out with test hearing aids so I could see if they make me hear better.
Right.
So I've never heard of that. And then I've heard you should wear them all the time, which I wouldn't wanna do. I wouldn't wanna wear them in my room or just certain.
You should wear them all the time.
But,
So you should wear them all the time.
and why is that?
Okay, let me just say this.
You can do that.
Let me just say this. You hear with your brain. And if you don't give your brain something to do, it just quits doing. So when I lost the hearing in my right ear, the right side of my brain just went to sleep because there was no stimulation. So if you don't wear your hearing aids all the time, your brain says, oh, I got nothing to do. You know what your dog does, when there's nothing to do, there's no food to get or something like that, it just lays down on the couch and goes to sleep. That's what your brain does, right? Did you want to add some to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's actually been some studies that say, literally what he said, is that you don't constantly stimulate your brain and get the sounds. Your brain no longer recognizes the sound. So a couple weeks ago, I was on vacation and I actually forgot my hearing aid charger. And there, so I literally had a comparison after 10 years on a hearing aid to like 2 days, 3 days without a hearing. I actually looked at it over the counter just for a temporary thing. But, and then I got my charger back, I got my hearing aids back in. There were things I didn't hear, like water running, birds singing, things like that, because I could not hear them. Now, I didn't use the microphone.
No. I have a comment.
Oh, you have a comment.
He wanted to ask a question.
Oh, you wanted to ask what? So, and I had this issue with my mother. I was trying to get her on hearing aids, right? But because she didn't want to hear it all the time, it was uncomfortable, right? Other issues like that. She didn't do it, right? And she eventually just stopped hearing because she could no longer hear exactly what I was. And George is gonna come up with data.
Yeah, there's a lot of proof that, what happens if you don't deal with your hearing loss is you decrease your social interaction. And it's a major factor in early dementia. So that's not kidding. There's massive data in that camp. Don't deal with your hearing loss and you are likely to have earlier dementia.
Thanks. There's something called tinnitus or tinnitus, depending on who you talk to. In any case, that means if not enough sound is getting back to your brain, the brain will produce sound that you can hear, in fact, can prevent you from sleeping, which is often what happens and did in my case anyway. Especially the one of my ears that's much worse than the other one. That's where the tinnitus appeared to be centered. The other thing is that I got my hearing aids from Kenwood, and I went to Kenwood to get another test because I didn't like the way I thought my hearing aids were working. And they told me, because my bad ear was a lot worse than my other ear, that there may be some fluid building up behind my eardrum. So I went to Kaiser and finally got someone in there. They don't call it ENT anymore. They call it throat surgery or something, neck and throat, whatever. Anyway, he drained some stuff from it and it felt okay for a while, but now it's back to what it was. Presumably, it's still not draining well enough, or the tube that he put in to ease the draining passage may not be working.
Question back here.
If you have,
Can you hand that back?
If you have loss in your, say, left ear, tinnitus, and then 20% or more in just the left ear, do you need to wear both hearing aids or just one?
Was that a question? That was a question.
That was a question.
I'll answer that. He's been
Oh,
the microphone.
Oh, you need. I thought you had another one up there.
No, what, I was gonna let you, okay.
Oh, you do.
Okay, you don't need to wear both. If one ear is normal or in good hearing, good normal hearing, you don't need to wear a hearing aid. Because all it is a loudspeaker and it just amplifies. But you need to wear it in the other hearing. And this other lady who just left, unfortunately, she needs to wear them all the time.
Don't miss me.
She heard that.
You need to wear them all the time. You need to hear them, you need to be able to hear, and you need to keep your brain going, all right? And it's really worse than what George said. You become an introvert. I mean, you're an introvert. I mean, you become the other word just escaped me, but anyway. You stay away from things and you lock yourself in your room. So wear your hearing aids all the time. Don't wear them in the shower.
Now?
Hello?
Hi, hold on a second.
Did you want a microphone? Sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Joint question.
So what'd you
We got a
find out?
t-shirt that we have that-
I don't have the cheap.
Oh,
Now we're talking.
oh. I'm
Okay,
What's that?
this might be.
I have no idea.
Oh, you're a little close to something?
worrying over it.
Okay, so Costco does both OTC and regular. The regular one started about $1,500. Now the
Well,
OTC there
they
shows
just-
that
the best thing
1,000 would be
possibly
the
get.
upper end of the
So-
OTC hearing aids, correct?
Not the point of
Okay,
it. Like, no,
so.
I think
that's-
people are talking.
that's anything?
What would the difference between the Costco non-OTC hearing aid?
Okay.
How do you know you have moderate hearing loss?
I've been there twice.
I'm already-
So you have an audiogram, you know you have moderate hearing loss, you are a candidate.
Qualify you for this
And it has to
defect.
say OTC on the box.
Yeah, I don't get to be in any studies
If it
about.
says that,
But what is that?
We're gonna get any more out of it.
$1,500 one, obviously it does more things.
Okay,
With moderate, I don't need
Yeah.
that many things.
Yeah.
no, let me
You
talk
had-
about this.
If you had under
Oh.
300, but over 250, they'd probably want to put you in some
Somebody has-
study, but yeah, oh, thank goodness, thank goodness.
Yep.
So, is it,
It's weird, I haven't really
Can you
experienced,
tell them to mute?
So do we need to mute that phone, whoever that is?
you know, Susan, can you mute your phone?
yep, and may all your coin flips be heads.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the answer to your question. You and I are different, our head sizes are
Are you
different,
home now?
our ears are different.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
When you go to an
Do you
audiologist.
Mind if
know the
you want to
difference,
tell
you know the
Josh and
difference,
Kathy,
and
or
measure the
you want
difference,
me?
and they fit differently. And
You want
also your
pass it along to
sound
Josh?
problem, even though it's only moderate, it's different in different ranges, different decibels. So they tune your hearing aids to fit you as an individual, and they won't work on the next person over, even though they're hearing aids, but they don't fit in the ear. Well, this is a very frequent complaint. I don't like it, they hurt. So you quit wearing them. It's because they're not fitted for you. You buy over-the-counter hearing aids, it's up to you. You have to find something that's comfortable for you. Now, here's the good part. You buy them, Best Buy, you don't like it, take it back to Best Buy. You got 45 days. You can wear them for 45 days and take them back. 30, okay. So that's the best part. You can take them back. Go ahead.
I see a lot of the hearing aids that are practically invisible versus the ones that are quite visible on the back of the ear. Is that basically a vanity price difference, or is there an advantage to one over the other?
Okay, you're talking primarily about the German ones that get advertised because they fit inside the ear. There are hearing aids that fit inside the ear, and those are good for people who have only moderate, might work for that gentleman right there next to you, but I can't wear them. Okay, it has nothing to do with vanity. I had to just go ahead and eat it, the fact that I've got this thing on my head. And most of us have to wear hearing aids that stand out, stick on the ear, because they just don't fit, or we have a little bit more hearing loss.
And then,
So to respond to your question, I think it depends on the level of loss.
Microphone.
Sorry. Depends on the level of loss or hearing loss, right? Like mine's is over my ear, and you said you can't see it because my hair is black and it's hiding underneath, you know, things like that, right? But I think I have moderate hearing loss. My mom had gotten in the ear hearing aids. She may not have been as serious from that standpoint. So it may not be, for her, it might have been a vanity thing, I don't know. So, but she didn't wear them anyway, so what the heck.
and then when you talked about, when you go to the symphony and you take this part off, are you still able to enjoy the highs and lows, the notes and the?
No, but fortunately for the ADA, fortunately, they passed the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act in what was it? 91. Thank you, 1991, yes. Just passed their 25th anniversary. fortunately, they passed that, and so now all public places are required to provide either some sort of hearing assistance. And that may be a hearing loop, like we have over here in the Burger Center. I don't know if you're aware of it, but if you have hearing aids, not over-the-counter hearing aids, you want to ask and insist that you get a T-coil in your hearing aids. And then when there's a hearing loop, it broadcasts directly into your hearing aids, and you're not hearing all of the background noise that's in the room. So that's, I forgot mid-sentence where I was going. What was your question?
Well, how do you enjoy the,
Oh, okay, yeah. So the ADA required that Symphony to provide me, and I choose a hearing loop that they provide me that goes around my neck. And I can hear, then with the hearing aids, I can hear the violin for the first time. Okay, and then when I leave the symphony, I have to give it back to them.
so you're saying insist on making sure your hearing aid has a T-coil in it?
T-coil, T-coil. It's free, but audiologists don't put them in there for some
Can you
reason.
buy, as an individual, one of the coils that they give you at Luther Burbank Center or wherever, and have one for your personal use?
Yes, you can.
It's probably expensive.
Some
as
people
hell.
do. No, they're not real bad. I don't know. I don't want to quote a price because, you know, you can get
Yeah,
prices
right,
all
but
over
I
the
mean,
market. It's not real bad.
It's not worth it just to go to the symphony to have one of your own rather than. get
I
theirs.
don't want to say, yes, it's not worth it. It's up
Well,
to
I
you.
mean, I just mean,
Because see, you have lots of money. I don't.
well, no, I don't, but what I'm saying is, if you go to Phoenix to see your daughter, whatever, you could have your coil already and you wouldn't have to arrange with them.
I know people do just exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Is there a huge difference in the technology between the different brands? Because you listed quite a few brands. If more expensive, it's a higher technology or not?
Unfortunately, my knowledge is in the hearing aid category, not the over-the-counter hearing aid. But in terms of technology, there's a lot of technology in this little guy. You know, there's a computer in there, and that little computer is taking a sample of the sound that's coming by 80,000 times a second. And it says, is that a speech or is that just noise? Oh, that's a speech. I better amplify it. Or is that noise? I better just shut it off. 80,000 times a second, there's a little computer chip in there that you got. So there's a lot of technology. Another thing, just a sec, and I'll be right with you. AI is coming along, and they're putting AI into these little chips to allow them to differentiate between noise and sound. Now, is there a difference between Jabra, Audion, Vivitone? Yes. Can I tell you? No. If you ask me about Sonova or I can't think of the brands. What are the brands, George? I can't think of it right now. But I know, you know, like Clarity and Stark and you know, those guys. But anyway, there is a difference. Right now, Sonova's, it's a race. Sonova's got the best technology today. But, you know, they just keep going in front of each other and keep coming up with things. It just takes, yeah.
How often can you expect to have to change your hearing aid? Is there a life?
She said, how often would you expect to change? You know, I've never really encountered anybody who had to change. So it's gonna be years, but I don't know for a fact that that's true. But I think it's years.
I change mine probably about every 3 years.
What about, I have a friend who has a prescription hearing aid, and one of the things he really values is that it has Bluetooth capability. And do these over-the-counter hearing aids have Bluetooth capability?
Some might. Not necessarily. It depends, you're getting an upper range of money now to do something like that. If you got some real cheap ones, no. If you have Bluetooth capability, there's a nice little app that goes on your phone called Listen Everywhere. And unfortunately, it's not working right here in the burger, and I'm working with Trace to try to fix it. But there's a nice little app that picks up the sound that through this microphone goes out through Bluetooth, and you can come right into your phone, and your phone goes to your hearing aid. So it's a nice little app. There's something called Auracast, which is, we talk about technology. Auracast is right on the verge of becoming available, and it's beyond Bluetooth, but it's the same kind of thing. You have to use your phone in order to have this Auracast, and we don't have it here at Burger yet, but we're supposed to spend the money for it when it gets here, but we'll see. But that's kind of a technology that can kind of come along and be used on Bluetooth or Auracast hearing aids. And if you're $100 hearing aids, no. But if you're $1,000, you might look for it. You might say, I only want, hearing aids, so I have to spend $1,000. But it's a lot better than $6,000. Did I answer all the questions? I guess so.
Rich, there's one more question on the chat.
Good.
Is there a hearing aid that already incorporates AI so I can hear my wife better?
No.
And tune to people around a dinner table?
Okay, there are hearing aids that will tune to people down around the dinner table, but what I do is I give my wife a little device to wear. She wears it right here. It's called Roger. And all it is a little microphone that goes straight into my hearing aids. So there are devices like that, but they're not an AI today. AI, as you know, it's going to be overwhelming. Everything's going to be AI soon. I think 6 months to a year probably. And you're going to want to go to it, but it's not here today.
Okay.
Big question or no question?
I have a question.
You have a chance.
Some companies are advertising noise cancellation. And also, I tried a hearing aid out. It was a high-end one, and I couldn't see much difference between all the different programs on it, except the gain. So I'm still looking around. So I wanted to know your thoughts on the noise cancellation, which I think Apple is coming out with.
Well, let me mention about that.
Yeah, Apple too. And they emphasize that they have noise cancellation. And then I was wondering, how do you compare all these hearing aids? How do you know which one is best for you?
Try it on.
Just 1,000.
Yeah, try it on. Try it on.
That is the question. How do you know which one's best for you? Here's your problem. Okay, you have different ears than the lady next to you. Okay, your ear canal is probably a little bit larger than hers. So the same hearing aids in your ears won't work in hers at all, won't even fit. And vice versa. She gets a set of hearing aids, they don't do you any good at all. So it's a personal kind of thing. You have to wear them, you have to try them. Wear them for a month. Okay, now prescription hearing aids have the same problem. You have to wear them. But your audiologist, whoever you use, Costco or whatever, they're used to this problem. So they'll take them back from you for after 30 days. All right. Now, do they help you at all? They probably, if they didn't help you, they probably didn't do a good job of tuning it to your ears. You might want to try somebody else, or you might want to just go back and tell the feedback that you just get. Noise cancellation in Apple. I didn't know this. I thought Apple only made personal sound amplification devices. But Terry was kind enough to send me the link to the announcement that Apple made. And that their OTC, they are now going to be considered OTC hearing aids. But this is the Futures Club. You know Apple, this is in the future. He didn't announce it, it's available today. They said someday these will be available and they will be here clarified as canceled, considered FTC, OTC hearing aids. Yes, sir.
It's now, they're selling it now.
Okay,
It's Apple II, it's not the latest generation, it's Apple II, and the software is compatible with the not OTC, but has been FDA approved.
okay. I saw the link and I didn't see that it was available now, but I stand corrected.
It's not earbuds.
Earbuds.
Yeah,
Probably earbuds.
Yeah, we got the little thing coming down. It's just, and it's generation 2, you know, it's not the latest, it's not generation 4, but the software is included in the Apple II AirPod.
I'm not a candidate. Okay,
Right.
first of all, I have profound hearing loss. Second of all, I have an Android. So I'm not a candidate. So I'm not current on that.
I mean, it's a great way to test out their software, right? Because it is a new product software wise, to see how it works, right? And see if it made any difference from a noise cancellation, yeah. But, so I've got everything Apple, so I'm kind of one of those buy-ins for everything.
And you can get it on Amazon and you can return it.
And you can also return it, that's right.
That's
So,
right.
but it doesn't, the only main difference between that and a prescription one is it's not fitted to your ear, right? And that does, of course, have some impact in terms of the quality of the sound that comes in, right? But it is better than just, AirPods, which is basically, in-ear amplifiers. So it'll be interesting to see how that product actually comes out.
My guess is with an Apple phone, you can tune it to be the louder amplification at different frequency. That's my guess. I don't know for sure, but this lady next to you has lost the ability to hear the low frequencies. You have lost the ability to hear the high frequencies. Now, I don't know that specifically because I don't know you, but this is the way it works in general. So the man and the wife can't hear each other because he can't hear high frequencies and the woman can't hear low frequencies.
Well, that's convenient.
Well, that explains everything, doesn't it?
I pulled up the FDA approval. Okay, the Apple feature with the software update will work with AirPods Pro 2 earbuds and iOS 18 compatible iPhones or iPads.
Period.
Okay, so that's what it will work with. It appears that you will have a hearing test you can do with that system. So you can adjust your sound settings to match your hearing loss. End quote.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George.
I know nothing about Apple.
Did you have another question? No, it's okay.
Okay,
All right,
I think that's,
just a minute, I have some gifts.
yes,
Yeah,
okay,
it's not, it didn't advance.
no, it's in. Well, that was your last
It
slide.
didn't, no, I have another slide. There's an important slide coming up.
Oh, no, that was, it's not going anywhere.
Okay, I am president of HEARS. Hearing, Education, Advocacy, Research and Support. We have a club, we meet about every quarter. I'd encourage you to let me have your email so I can send you emails, because I send out emails especially on the work I'm doing with Berger here to try to get it up to speed. And this room, which we just discovered, doesn't have a hearing loop, in spite of the fact that there's a sign on the door that says there is one. So I'd like to be able to keep you up to date on that. But I also belong to an organization called the hearingloss.org. And it's HLAA, and I just went to their conference in Phoenix. Phoenix in June, yes, it was 117,
Oh.
but it was cheap. So anyway, so, you know, I do stay abreast of the market. And I do have many, many friends with profound hearing loss. So, I want to encourage you to use those two sources, especially our club.
Do you think that hearing loss is hereditary, like your children or grandchildren will also be profoundly hearing impaired?
Okay, like I said, I'm not a doctor,
No, I understand that.
but I don't think it is. Because of the way the ear works, I just don't think it is.
It's just either it's your own fault and a little hereditary.
Yeah, in my case, there was a bunch of guys shooting off their 30-30s right next to my head, thinking they were having fun. You know, in another person's case, it was the kid strapped in the back seat with these big speakers in the back. And they turned it up real loud and went.
I did that.
Okay. Okay, I think I've used up my time, Terry.
Okay, all right. I'll do the microphone thing too. If you already signed up on the sign-in sheet, if you want to stay in contact with Rich, just come back here and just put an X on the line. Added a column that says here's and you put a yes on it. Okay. So that's one.
Oh, yes.
And gifts.
Oh,
What do you do if you have hearing loss? You read lips. How do you read lips if people turn away from you?
very difficult.
I'm gonna give these out.
Okay,
I only have a few, so I'm gonna skip some people there.
and
Okay.
it's,
Better have good eyes too.
I don't need one yet.
and what it says is, please face me and speak clearly. Actually, that's a good,
Face
that's a
me.
good point.
Because I'm reading your.
So you can read lips.
How long
Okay,
did it take you
Do
to learn to
you,
do
do you
that?
read lips?
You just do it. I don't know.
You get
I don't know how to answer that. I just did it.
You read lips.
I read lips. I've taken the courses and all that kind of stuff, but I just learned it.
You had to learn.
Okay.
You have no choice.
okay.
Here, I've got more. Okay,
Okay, so I'm gonna spend 2 minutes about the Futures Club.
now, one
Now-
more thing.
Oh, one more thing, Rich isn't done yet.
Does anybody have hearing aids today? I'll give you some batteries. Here's some batteries. These don't work a lot,
Yeah, 312 for me.
but if they're 312s, today they've moved on. All right, but if you still have 312s, I'll be happy to give you these.
Thank you.
Okay,
Now I'm done.
any more gifts?
No more.
Headsets? Thank you. Thank you, that was an excellent presentation.
Not the future.
No, but it is technology that helps us look better, right? So, so one of the new, I will say not newer things, but one of the things I'm trying to work towards is the idea of live better longer with technology. And there's a reason why I said with technology is because there's lots of stuff that's happening, right? And I think it's important to understand what's happening so you can choose what you want to do with it. Not let technology tell you what to do, but there are definitely gonna be things that will be coming. That will be changing, that it's best to basically at least understand where it's coming from and what you have the choice in terms of what you can do with it or not do with it. So, couple of thoughts in terms of I'll say topics. One is definitely artificial intelligence and what, different aspects of it. Hopefully without any bias to it, but at least just to say what it's about, certain fears that come up because of that whole technology in its first place. Other areas, could be some that's things that can contribute to dementia. There's a lot of activity going on right now in terms of looking on aging in place and maybe how technology can help you do that. At least it's ideas in terms of what to do. So things coming up, being developed in the future. We need some people to help come up with some ideas of what topics would be interesting to basically review or talk about in the first place. George, of course, has been a tremendous influence and input, in terms of those areas, but if, if anybody else has any other questions or areas that they've been wondering about. We hope to do this every other month, and we're looking for a couple more volunteers just to help with the overall logistics, but also to investigate and research some topics. So, that's basically what we're looking at for the Futures Club, or at least upcoming events.
My question for Terry is this suitable for your club here? I'm just asking you if you just say yes or no, or this or whatever, but was this appropriate for your club?
Yeah. Yes, for
Okay.
Sunday symposium, why?
Otherwise, we wouldn't have had you.
No, because I was scared to death coming into the Futures Club.
Well, it still has to do with your future, right?
Sunday
Good,
symposium.
good hearing affects your future, so this is what you can do about it now. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sunday symposium, he could come in and talk to us for an hour and a half, because all this is different from the last time we had hearing aid specialists.
Yeah.
Which was many years ago.
Yeah.
And they had just said they were gonna come out with over the counter and everybody went, "Ew," but it's changed.
Yeah.
And I think that you would be very good, and if you want some info about how to do that, we can arrange.
You're getting recruited, Rich.
That thought scares me.
But we're booked up for until next year, so you wouldn't have to.
You gotta hold
Be
your
too
to
bad.
incorporate the AI part.
Well, the AI is something I have a personal interest in.
Yeah.
And AI scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah. So that's why we need that
I
discussion.
tell my granddaughter, I beg them to learn as much as they can about it.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's what's going on with the Futures Club, and if you have any questions, you need my email or phone number, or you can send, there's also the website, the Futures Oakmont website. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming, thank you everybody online, and we're gonna be leaving the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Turn off the.
Well, Sunday, I won't see you on Sunday.
Yeah, not this Sunday.
Boy, you're gonna miss a good one too.
Yeah, probably have to be another year from now, and then we might know more too.
You gotta come a long way, a little far.
Yeah.
Maybe so.